So this book is about North Carolina. It's about football, and it's about the role that football and football coaches played in integration. I found it very interesting. The young man who wrote it, his name is Stuart Albright, and he was an English teacher and a coach at Jordan High School at one time. I don't know that he's still there, but when he wrote this book, he was. And this is the prologue to the book that I'm going to read to you today, and I just found it lots of fun. I hope you will too. The Immaculate Reception. The metal bleachers on both sides of the field rumble like the onset of a summer storm. Only a minute left to go. Both teams are totally spent. Desperation is beginning to sink in. It can't possibly happen. Not now. Not here. After all this. A near interception. Another catch. He was out of bounds. Stop the clock. Seconds ticking. Timeout, timeout, timeout. We have one last chance. A ball wobbles high above the Raleigh skyline, almost end over end. It is an awful pass. Too short. The laces twist and turn against the backdrop of stadium lights and swarming moths. The ball sputters back to earth. A final gasp. Nothing more to give. What happens next is impossible, really. Utterly impossible. I preserve the grainy videotape as a reminder, saving it like a precious family heirloom. This is not working. You'll hear what I'm talking about. I'll start reading or talking or doing something, and you'll hear it. Come on, up you go. Yeah. The metal bleachers on both sides of the field rumble like the onset of a summer storm. See, to adjust this thing again too. Maybe bring the volume down some or something. I don't know. I think you did, and I think it's working better. Okay, let me read the first sentence and we'll know because there's B's and T's in it. The metal bleachers on both sides of the field rumble like the onset of a summer storm. What do you think? The metal bleachers on both sides of the field rumble like the onset of a summer storm. Only a minute left to go. Both teams are totally spent. I've used that before, yeah.
Test. Let's try clipping it.
metal bleachers on both sides of the field rumble like the onset of a summer storm. Only a minute left to go. Both teams are totally spent. Desperation is beginning to sink in. It can't possibly happen. Not now. Not here. After all of this. What do you think? Not working.
This one's just so
Picky.
picky. Yep, exactly. So I'm trying to find the right spot. That side. I'm sorry.
Did you ever see a movie called Singing in the Rain?
Oh, I did. Oh my goodness.
And remember when they were trying to get her to talk into the mic?
Yeah.
Talking.
Gosh, this does reminisce of that, doesn't it? Okay, see if that clip works when you talk.
Okay. I'm going to know this by heart. The metal bleachers on both sides of the field rumble like the onset of a summer storm. Only a minute left to go. Both teams are totally spent. Desperation is beginning to sink in. It can't possibly happen. Not now. Not here. After all of this. A near interception. Another catch. He was out of bounds. Stop the clock. Seconds ticking. Timeout, timeout, timeout. We have one last chance. A ball wobbles high above the Raleigh skyline, almost end over end. It is an awful pass. Too short. The laces twist and turn against the backdrop of stadium lights and swarming moths. The ball sputters back to earth. A final gasp. Nothing more to give. What happens next is impossible, really. Utterly impossible. I preserve the grainy videotape as a reminder, saving it like a precious family heirloom. From time to time, I ask my football players to give their version of that October night. They are a little taller and stronger now, perhaps a bit more sure of themselves. Whenever I mention the Garner game, a knowing smile always crosses their faces and a glimmer strikes their eyes. Each of their narratives is slightly different, an intonation here, an exaggerated detail there. Perhaps they include a sprinkling of poetic license so that the listener can fully understand the magnificence of that game, the sounds and the smells, the unusually mild air for a late autumn night. But the basic story is always the same, with a climax so unlikely that I find myself retelling it again and again just to make it come true. I remember driving one of our 2 activity buses out of Durham that afternoon. The details come to me in real time. The diesel engine hums monotonously and gusts of air swirl through the open windows. Everything else is silence. It is a dense silence, filled with the weight of anticipation and focus. Cars fly by us on Interstate 40 as the bus plods along at maximum speed. Through the rearview mirror, I see heads nodding in rhythm to Little John or Jay-Z as the beats pound steadily through beneath headphones. Beyond the dust-covered windows, the sun begins to set over downtown Raleigh. It has been a special season for us so far. 7 wins and 7 tries. A tremendous amount of time and effort has gone into the past 4 months. I came to Jordan High School 3 years ago to coach JV football along with LaDwan Harrison, Chris Starkey, and Tim Bumgardner. On the surface, we are very different men, but we love football and we care deeply about kids. An unlikely family of brothers quickly developed. During the football season, I spend more time with these men than I do my own family. Tonight's opponent is the mighty Trojans of Garner High School, one of the powerhouse programs in North Carolina. The Trojans are the only show in town. Even toddlers know all about Garner football. The Pee Wee and middle school teams feed directly into Garner High School. They run the same offense, use the same drills, and learn the varsity's finely tuned system at an early age. Garner is part of a dying breed of schools. Redistricting has eliminated community allegiances in much of the state, and new building projects in East Raleigh ensure that Garner may not be far behind. For now, Garner fans cling to their football program with considerable fervor. Garner's JV team has not lost a game in over 5 years, 55 wins in a row. Most of them have been brutal, savage beatings over inferior foes. The Garner players are athletic and well coached, and they are talented enough to hold their own against a number of varsity teams. In short, the Trojans are a machine. On the very first play of the game, a 200-pound horse of a running back from Garner glides 70 yards past our defenders for an easy touchdown. He hands the pigskin to the nearest referee with a nonchalance that indicates this is just another beating in the works. The man-child is but one of three powerful backs who will shred our normally stout defense to the tune of 350 yards. We bleed and we bruise and we bend our backs time and time again. But we punch back as well. After another long Trojan touchdown run, there is a workmanlike drive of our own. A knockout blow from the 200-pound horse is followed by a long touchdown pass in return. Renard Edwards is our field general. He is a gangly, athletic freshman with long cornrows and an awkward throwing motion that somehow gets the job done. Kids like Renard keep me coaching year after year. When Renard moved to Durham from Savannah, Georgia at the beginning of the summer, his weariness masked a childlike innocence. Renard desperately wanted to be accepted by the team. Football was his salvation, and it was only structure in a world filled with family drama and the ever-present temptations of gang life. When Renard became the starting quarterback 2 games ago, he gallantly took the reins and kept us moving forward. Renard's talent is raw, but his fearless abandon serves us well on a night like this. We wait patiently for the Trojans to make a mistake, and it finally comes in the form of an intercepted pass deep in Garner territory. Only 3 minutes remain in the game. Now it is our turn to do the pounding. 5 plays later, a short touchdown run gives us our first lead at 33-28. All we have to do is stop the Trojan machine one more time. The Jordan fans who made the 1-hour road trip are going ballistic. Fear is noticeable on the Garner sideline for the first time. We can sense it, like the smell of blood from a wounded prey. A deafening chorus comes from our sideline. Dog pound, defense, dog pound, defense. Sweat streams down my back as I shout instructions beside Coach Harrison. We chant and scream and grow hoarse. The whole world seems alive with noise and adrenaline and passion and focus. Less than a minute to play. The Garner quarterback takes a 5-step drop. His only option is to throw the ball. Time is running out. Pass, shouts the entire eastern half of Wake County. The pigskin floats beautifully in the air. Arthur Affleck, our diminutive defensive back, runs step for step with the much taller Trojan receiver. Art has played a brilliant game for us on both sides of the ball. He has thrown his body around with reckless abandon all night long. Art extends his arms to haul in the interception. A hush falls over the crowd. All eyes focus on Art's fingertips. It is the one mistake Art makes all game. A mistimed leap. The Trojan receiver walks into the end zone with what appears to be the winning touchdown. Pandemonium erupts on the Garner sideline. A 450-pound ball boy joyfully waddles to the end zone, finds the prized football, and spikes it into the ground. Triumphant players in dark blue and gold shake their helmets in the air. It is the death knell for our gaping wound and the end of a glorious run. Garner 35, Jordan 33. The remaining 50 seconds are a mere afterthought as our defense leaves the field dejectedly. We shout words of encouragement, but the words sound hollow. It's not over yet. There's still time. Head up. Get your heads up. Let's go. Delson McAdams takes the Trojan kickoff to the Jordan 45 line. A glimmer of hope. An offside penalty. Damn it. Keep your head. Listen for the count. Clark Richards, our tight end, hauls in a graceful catch before getting drilled out of bounds at the Garner 44 line. But the referee sees things differently. He rotates his arm, and the clock continues to tick. Get to the line, Coach Harrison and I scream to the offense. Renard throws a deep ball to Delson, our playmaker. Incomplete. 12 seconds left. Two more pass plays fail miserably. Fear and regret unleash their deadly tentacles on the Falcon sideline. Coach Harrison calls our final timeout with only 2 seconds remaining. In the huddle, all 11 helmets turn to Coach Harrison. It is a moment of clarity and calm. No one panics. No one says a word. This is what we're going to do, Coach Harrison tells the offense. We're going to call this play, and we're going to score. I want spread left with Antonio and Delson to the play side. Delson and Tony, you got to go. Renard, throw it as far as you can. Line, you got to block. You hear me? You got to give us some time. It's our turn now. We've got one shot. Josh Dorfman, our stoic and steady center, eyes the rest of the line. Nobody gets through. Just stick together and don't let anyone through. It is a time for desperation, but with Delson and Antonio out there, anything can happen. As a running back, Delson McAdams has also already rushed for well over 1,000 yards on the season. He is cocky and confident on the field with the invincible attitude of an undefeated prize fighter. As a receiver, Antonio Smith has almost matched Delson's impressive yardage numbers. Antonio has matured considerably since I first met him as a freshman. When Antonio's mother dropped him off the first day of practice last year, I could see the "don't let anybody hurt my baby" look on her worried face. Her concern was only slightly appeased by his play this year. Antonio is soft-spoken and intensely serious. He attaches a diligent "yes, sir" to every comment he makes, but his confidence used to be shaky at best. Last season, he was devastated by every dropped pass in a game, and I had to bench him for long stretches at a time. This year, Antonio's growing confidence has made him into a very talented receiver. Coach Harrison returns to our sideline as the Garner fans dance and wave their hands in the air. Their singing grows louder and louder with every moment. Na, 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 hey, hey, goodbye. The referee finally signals for play to continue. 4 Trojan linemen charge hell-bent at Renard as the final horn sounds. The line weakens, but stands firm in a solid wedge around Josh Dorfman. Renard heaves the ball high into the air as the Trojan defense flattens him. Everything goes silent. Renard's pass is a duck, and the wobbly ball descends far short of the end zone. 2 Garner defenders lunge for the interception at the 10-yard line. Delson hesitates, thinking the game is over. Clark Richards approached from the right side to knock the ball loose as soon as it is intercepted. This seems to be the only remaining option. Antonio sprints past Delson to the left and converges on the Garner defenders. I see the final moments in slow motion. The 2 Trojan defenders collide as the ball arrives in their arms, jarring their bodies and sending a shoulder pad against the errant pass. The ball caroms backwards and upwards. Antonio sprints behind the defense and tenses his fingers. By some miracle from above, the ball lands in his waiting arms as he crosses the goal line. The head referee is too shocked to signal a touchdown at first, but his arms eventually rise into the glorious autumn air. Game over. Jordan 39, Garner 35. It is an impossible moment. Unreal, euphoric. A collective pause grips our sideline before the utter chaos reigns. The stories diverge from witness to witness at this point. As with any life-altering event, the moment takes on a very personal quality. I cling to this moment as my own, but it is Antonio's as well, for it is his first day as a hero, crushed between the weight of 55 ecstatic teammates. The moment also belongs to my wife and my brother as they hug each other in the stands. Antonio's mother laughs and cries and jumps up and down screaming, "That's my baby! That's my baby! That's my baby!" I run up to the end zone with Coach Harrison, who is pumping his arms in the air. Coach Starkey extends his hands as if he is about to fly off into the moonlight. Several of our players bend to the earth and pray. Others grab divots of the field and let the grass scatter across their sweat-drenched faces. The unfortunate defenders lie face down on the 10-yard line in tears, with their arms beating the ground in helpless frustration. It is a moment that defines who I am as a coach, while at the same time defining nothing at all about me. It is a miracle and a fluke. It is an aberration from the normal workings of the world. I don't quite know what it is, but it has a definite meaning. Flip to the ESPN highlights on any given night, and the moment is there, just as spectacular and just as unreal. But it is not my moment. I could have witnessed this event everywhere. The world is full of such wonder and beauty, but our eyes are perpetually locked into the daily grind of work and pain and tedium. We react when we are shocked, and we are only shocked when the hot coal presses directly to our skin. We see life with detachment rather than fully feeling the world around us. Miracles are lost from our vocabulary. And ordinary miracles, they no longer exist. The bus ride after the game is a snapshot of delirious and exhausted emotions. It is growing late now, and I still have to get up at 5 a.m. to prepare for my English classes in the morning. We are in the middle of Their Eyes Were Watching God, Zora Neale Hurston's classic novel of the Harlem Renaissance. Thoughts of Janie Crawford and tea cake blend in with the block party behind me on the bus. Bernard, our quarterback, sits with Coach Harrison to my right. He is exhausted and totally at peace with the world. I see Delson conducting our victory song through the rearview mirror. The song comes from Remember the Titans, and whenever I see the movie, I can only think of these young men and their triumphant call and response. Everywhere we go, the masses. Everywhere we go, people want to know. People want to know who we are. Who we are. So we tell them. So we tell them. We are the Falcons. We are the Falcons. The mighty, mighty Falcons. The mighty, mighty Falcons. Oh, ah, yeah. Ooh, ah, oh, yeah. As I drive back to Durham, the bus shakes with the sounds of singing and clapping. We watched the Garner game film after practice on Friday afternoon. The young men in the locker room slap each other on the back and exchange high fives. Spirits are still soaring. Everyone grows quiet as we admonish the defense for giving up 350 yards and critique the offense for penalties and missed opportunities. But as we approach the final play, the excitement builds yet again, and a smile plays across every face. Bernard steps back, fires a wobbling pass, and Antonio snatches the miracle gift from the air. All 55 players break the silence with a deafening scream as they crush Antonio once more. The intensity of his face fades into a full-bodied laugh. High school football is merely a game. At least that's what people on the outside might say. Football is certainly fun, and for that matter, our players perform at their peak when they love what they are doing. But athletics can evolve into something else entirely. When I think of my own education, the greatest learning experiences of my teenage years came from playing on a high school football team. Football can be a weapon against poverty and racism and broken homes and depression. It brings families together, and it provides fathers for kids who may not have a father anywhere else. It keeps students interested in school, and it opens doors to the intimidating world of higher education. Football can build men out of fragile and wary boys. They enter high school encased in eggshells and leave 4 years later with a durable exterior. These are trying times. Throughout America, we are losing the hearts and minds of our youth. Many of our communities are slowly dying. Neighbors no longer feel connected to one another. The hopes and dreams of our recent past sometimes feel lost amid resegregation, home foreclosures, and the ever-present gap between the rich and the poor. The stakes grow higher with every passing year, and we repeatedly ask schools to solve the greatest ills of our society. Students feel marginalized and invisible within the ever-growing masses. We've entered a world of anonymity. But within this new world, there is still the audacity of hope, to borrow the words of Barack Obama, and coaches and teachers and other local leaders stand on the front lines of the struggle. Children cling to hope when they find others who will participate in their journey. Hope originates when a community exists beyond the basic framework of a chalkboard or a classroom wall. It is the sense of community that drives much of the excellence we see in many schools. It can come from athletics, or it can come from something entirely different. There simply has to be a genesis. Community building starts with someone who is innovative and charismatic, someone who loves kids and believes in social justice. Coaches often fill this role. So how does anyone ever change the world? Who are these coaches who engage in ordinary miracles? Where do they exist? What makes them successful? How do they shape the futures of so many young men? I long for the answers to these questions. This book is a pilgrimage of sorts, and North Carolina is as good a place as any to start. I like the dual nature of the state, where the New South and the Old South collide in a rollicking battle between liberal Chapel Hill and the conservative ideology of Jesse Helms. The rural tobacco culture of the East meets the burgeoning growth of cities such as Charlotte and Raleigh and Fayetteville. I find comfort in the ancient rolling hills of Appalachia and in the turbulent beauty of the Outer Banks. It is a land of both black and white. The dynamics are messy at times, but the contradictions are there for all to see. North Carolina is not a football-crazed state like Texas or Florida, but its character more aptly fits our national consciousness. North Carolina is my home, but like most people, I bring a certain tunnel vision to my allegiances. I don't know what most of the towns in this state are really like. What lies beyond the curtain of such far-flung places as Pilot Mountain and Jacksonville and Cherokee? What drives the pulse of these cities? Where does community building exist? I hope to answer some of these questions in the following pages. As the great Carolinian from Asheville, or Altamont, once put it, we are the sum of all the moments of our lives. What clay will form this pilgrimage? How will my own past color the new people I meet? Will this journey help me to create my own imprint on the world? Thomas Wolfe would surely ask me these questions. I accept the challenge with open arms and a ready pen. On a hazy autumn night, a young man catches a touchdown pass along the outskirts of Raleigh, North Carolina. It is merely a junior varsity football game. There are no real stakes involved. The Raleigh News and Observer does not cover it, nor does the Durham Herald-Sun. The world is unaffected and unoppressed by these events, yet the moment matters to me and to hundreds more. I share it with my family, my brother, and my wife constantly. But I have a new family that transcends bloodlines. We are a community. The moment is ours individually, but more importantly, it is ours collectively, and nothing can take that away. In the isolated post-9/11 world we live in, such things really matter. Every story must have a beginning, and mine does not originate on that October night. Antonio's catch is simply the pivot point for all that follows. Like so many things, the future is only as clear as the reflections of our past. My story begins with a shy 15-year-old boy on a football team in the middle of June. And that, of course, would be this young man, Stuart Albright, who wrote this very interesting and enjoyable book. Thank you.